following last Friday's widely disputed election. These detentions are part of an alarming and violent response by Iranian police to the popular demonstrations that have gripped Iran for the past week.
طبق خبرگزاری‌های رسمی 150 نفر تا حالا کشته و صدها زخمی و دستگیر توسط نیروهای امنیتی که شامل نویسنده‌ها، فعالان سیاسی، دانشجوها و دکترا میباشند. سیستم تلفن و سیستم اینترنت قطع و مردم را تهدید به ماندن در خانه میکنند. ولی مردم عزیز ایران در خانه ماندگار نیستند و با آمدن به خیابان و پیوستن به تظاهرات عمومی که در تاریخ ایران بعد از انقلاب 1979 نمونه آن را ندیده ایم، برای مطالبه حق خود و تغییر ایران به پا خواستند.
15 people have reportedly been killed and hundreds more injured or arrested by security forces, including writers, political activists, students, and doctors. Phone and internet services have been cut off and people have been warned to stay home.
هدف از گردهمایی ما در اینجا این است که به 30 سال محرومیت‌هایی که حکومت ایران علیه مردم به پا داشته پایان داده و نقض‌های حقوق بشر شامل سنگسار عمومی، سرکوب‌های سازمان یافته حقوق زنان، سرکوبی مخالفان عقیدتی و مذهبی، دستگیری‌های خودسرانه و شکنجه مخالفان سیاسی را محکوم کرده و آنانی که برای تغییر ایرانی آزاد و دموکراسی در تلاش هستند را حمایت می‌کنیم.
Two paragraphs. But they are not staying home. People are taking to the streets in the largest public gatherings in the history of modern Iran to demand change. Together, we can end 30 years of state-sanctioned human rights violations, public stoning, systematic repression of women's rights, suppression of dissent, and the arbitrary arrest and torture of political opponents and those who speak out for change.
هموطنان عزیز، به امید روزی که آزادی و عدالت در این خاک پاک ایران برقرار و ما بتوانیم با افتخار سرود ای ایران را که با صدای بلند بخوانیم و از ته دل بدانیم که این مرز واقعا پرگوهر است. تا حکومت ایران قانون طبیعی حقوق بشر را که حق اولیه هر شهروند ایرانی می باشد را احترام بگذارد.
The government needs to stop its harassment and intimidation of its critics, including peaceful demonstrators. We are able to mobilize thousands of members around the world to deliver a clear message to the Iranian government that they must respect the basic human rights of their citizens.
So, obviously right now there's a lot of pressure for us to sort of back this, for the United States to get support in its ideas of regime change in Iran. And the same with the Israeli government. But we have to be clear because obviously in the past, the situation with the United States and Iran has not been one of, mutual relation or friendliness or anything like that, but it's been quite the opposite. And we also need to take a look here at home for the role that the United States has played. They're not an entity, the United States government, that is on the side of people. Even here in the United States, for instance, if we compare the arrests in Iran, right now there's about 600 reported arrests, roughly, although we don't know exactly. But if we compare that to 2004, if we remember 2004, at the RNC there was 1,800 arrests. At the DNC this year, 2008, there was 150. And in the RNC there was another 800. So again, just a regular protest. If within his own country, people are rounded up and arrested. So we can't trust the United States to defend the protesters in Iran.
I live in Tehran in the past time, long time ago.
Why did you leave?
Because I left my country for freedom to practice my religion in the freedom country. I was Muslim and I left my country to go to other country for do my religion practice in the freedom country.
Were you not Shia or?
No, in the past I was a Muslim, but right now I am a Christian.
I see. And sometimes you hear people say, well, the people who come out in the street, they're just rich people, middle class, and we shouldn't really care because the poor are for Ahmadinejad. Is that at all true?
Right. Right now most of Iranian people, they come out and say they don't like this government because they do very bad thing in the people and don't allow people to tell speech in the outside and not have any freedom. I want to tell to all country around the world to stand with Iranian people right now.
I want to talk about perhaps the Palestine-Israel situation. People made remarks they don't want Israel to get involved. Now, some people, and I've read some Palestinians who seem kind of supportive of Ahmadinejad, kind of natural, I guess, because he said some things in their support. Of course, also said some absurd Holocaust stuff that is hurting them. But how does one deal with that issue, the Palestine-Israel issue and Iran?
Right. Yeah, you're right. It's complex because of the way that the Iranian state has played off some of the contradictions in the region for its benefit. I think at the end of the day, though, I mean, what is going to resolve the Palestine conflict in a way that addresses the rights of the Palestinian people is an international movement of solidarity. And that's what we're trying to develop here. So I think it's ultimately we have to approach the question from the perspective of, the struggle of those from below, those who are oppressed against the oppressors. And I think with that framework, it becomes clear that, there's no question that the people of Iran are completely in solidarity with the people of Palestine. I certainly think we can develop that kind of movement here in the U.S. I think people are more and more skeptical of what the Israeli state is doing. So I think that's a kind of solidarity we need to see and develop. I think for that reason, folks who are sympathetic and fight for the Palestinian causes, and I conclude myself in that, should stand with the protesters in Iran and should see it as part of our overall fight.
Now, are you connected with any of the organizations in Iran, let's say dissident organizations, or indirectly, or do you know of them? Because people just see Mousavi and Ahmadinejad and they don't know anything about any other organizations.
Right. I'm not connected with any of the organizations there, actually. My approach is, it's seeing is believing in some ways. Like when I see, hundreds of thousands of people out on the street, as an organizer myself, I know you don't get those kinds of numbers out unless you've really connected with something deeply felt amongst the popular masses. I'm not connected with any organization. I certainly feel particularly in solidarity with the labor movement in Iran, and I know that many labor unions which have been underground for many, many years have called for support for the protesters and combine that with the demand for long-standing redress of labor rights and labor questions. So in terms of where I situate myself, it's in that trend of the working class and labor movement. But no, I don't have any connection with the organization. I just see it and I feel it as an organizer here.
So what can people do here? The Iranian government's not going to really respond to petitions. What do you think is the best thing that can be done?
Right. And I do think, I think we need to try and initiate as much as possible. And it's difficult because of the blackout, but a people-to-people dialogue. So I think the extent to which people can respond to some of the calls from the Iranian labor movement to initiate struggle, to show that, there is an international movement that's watching. But, I think one of the most important things that people here can do is keep an eye and keep restrictions on the U.S. government.